What's up, y'all? And welcome back to Boss Talk. You're here with your girl, Kennedi, aka Kenny from the block.
What's up? It's your girl, Moonchild.
What's up? It's Sunja.
It's me, AJ.
Hey, y'all. It's Oyin.
So today's episode is all about music and culture. Collectively, we're all really big music fans, and we wanted to really dive deep into music and how it not only impacts us, but society and specifically our generation. I'm super excited for this episode. You know, music means a lot to me. But first, you know, like we always do, we wanted to get into a little game and icebreaker and whatnot. So lately, you know, on Instagram, we've seen a lot of versus battles to keep us entertained during quarantine. So we wanted to start off today's episode with our own versus battle. You know, we have 3 categories: artist versus artist, song versus song, and I think the hardest comparison, album versus album. But, you know, let's not waste any more time and get right into it.
All right, so we're going to kick it off with artist versus artist. So, Lil' Kim versus Nicki. Who y'all got?
I'm going to just go first since y'all are clearly having some trouble. Nah, but honestly, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to go with Nicki, even though she's a hater. She is a hater, but we talking about music right now, so musically, I'm gonna have to go with Nicki.
I have to co-sign Alyssa's decision. Nicki all the way.
So it's tough for me. It's tougher for me, I think, because I love, like, I'm really into, like, hip-hop and its evolution and its roots and stuff like that. And, like, when I listen to Hardcore by Kim, and you're hearing Kim talk about, like, some shit you say in your head, but you don't really ever say out loud, because it's like the dirty.
There's some things that I just don't want to say out loud either.
Yeah, exactly.
Agree.
But sometimes you can think about the stuff that she's saying out loud. Like everybody's had, well, I don't want to talk for everybody. People have had thoughts about, like, you know, just being a boss, like being dominant. And I think that's like what she really, like, exudes in her albums and her music. So I do love Nicki. I don't know, like, it's hard because Nicki, like, has so many bops, like, there's so many hits.
Right.
But I think for me, I'm gonna go with Kim just off of, like, the things that she paved for music, like, for women in hip hop.
I'm gonna have to go with Nicki on this one, and I think Lil' Kim is a phenomenal rapper, and I think too, in her lyrics, I'll talk about her lyrics a little bit later, but, like, just her voice, I think she was so confident with what she said, so that's why you were kind of like, okay, this is grimy and dirty, and I'm gonna definitely have to get saved again after this, but, like, you were like, okay, I'm feeling it with you because you feeling it, and she didn't sound, I don't know if this part of Notorious B.I.G. was real, the movie that he came out with, but when he was trying to teach her how to sound, you know, really, sexy, like, and attractive, but still have that,
like, hood, like that gritty. Yeah.
I think that's hard, and I think that's something that Nicki also has, because she can kind of, she does sing and she does have that softer side to her, but she does go hard, and you can hear that in her voice, not in the same way as Lil' Kim, but I think you can see where that impact was in terms of, like, her image. But I'll tell you one thing, when I listen to Lil' Kim, sometimes I'm just like, oh Jesus. like
exactly.
Like, just you know, pray for me, like, she be going in. She be going in. So I think sometimes that can, for me, it can be a little bit off-putting, just because it's like, damn, you saying it like that, you
right,
going
exactly. Went hard.
And Nicki, it can be just as explicit, but I think, I mean, not just as explicit, but she could be very explicit.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's on that level to where I'm just like, all right, I need to take a pause.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nikki's very versatile too. Like,
she is very versatile.
And she attracts a variety. Like, she went very pop. She went very like, remember that joint with Lil Wayne, the Rockstar stuff?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it was very pop, very like, you know, like cutesy, like attracts like white and black audience, like, well, very cultural, big cultural background. But again, I'm sticking to my decision, but this is very hard. I think I enjoyed both of them very much.
I think for me, this comparison, because you know, it's basically you got the OG and you got the prodigy. Whether or not Nicki Minaj wants to believe anything that she got her ideas from anyone, but it's just. I really do like Lil' Kim, to be honest, but I think I just recently started to more so like heavily listen to her. But it's kind of hard because I'm just the type of person where I don't like people to be saying the most explicit, raunchy things in my ear, and I also don't like to see it either. Like I'm just the type of person when it gets to like that type of stuff, I get very like I just act weird. Yeah,
like squirmy.
Like I get very squirmy. So, you know, listening to hardcore, especially Big Mama thing with Jay-Z and Lil Steve, she's saying all types of stuff, all things that I have never thought of in my wildest dreams. Like I never would have ever. So it's like really hard. I feel like lyrically, like she's very superior and paved the way for so many artists. But as in terms of just being an overall better artist, I think I would have to say Nicki, just because she has shown that she can cross multiple genres of music. Like, you know, what Sunja had mentioned before, the fact that she can do pop and she can hang with the best of the rappers. You know, when you listen to Monster and she's on there with Jay-Z, Kanye, and all them holding her own, but also can do super bass, Starships, music my sister listens to. And so because of that point, I think I'm gonna have to go with Nicki, even though she needs to humble herself severely. I would severely. I think I would have to say Nicki Minaj.
So I think we ended off right now 4-1. It's fine. You know, we're gonna move on with life. So Nicki definitely won that battle. But let's talk through. We're gonna do an artist versus artist, but it's gonna be a little bit different. We're kind of talking about like Jay-Z and like who he's discovered or who he's brought onto game versus Lil Wayne and who he's discovered and who he's brought up to the game. And that reference, we're talking about Jay-Z in context of Rihanna and Kanye. And then we're talking about Weezy in context of Drake and Nicki. Who y'all got?
Lord. Jesus Lord.
Jesus is Lord.
This is so hard because I'm gonna tell you something. I love Rihanna. That is my girl. Like, y'all see this picture? Y'all can't see it, but they can. I love her. So, but it's just so hard because with these two, with Jay-Z and Lil Wayne, like the biggest artists I feel like in terms of music under both of them, you got Kanye and you got Drake. Drake has changed the game. He's probably my favorite artist right now, like number one. And Kanye just the way he produces music, his music, the way he puts other people on, like he's just so musically inclined, it's ridiculous. So this is like the hardest thing. If we're only talking about music, Jesus, honestly, somebody else go. I can't. I don't know. I can't make a decision right now.
Honestly, it's hard.
It is hard. I think if you're letting go of Jay-Z or Lil Wayne, like just them as artists alone, like you're talking about just bodies of artwork that is ridiculous. Like Jay-Z by himself, like we know what he's capable of. Lil Wayne, like you think of Lil Wayne's mixtapes, you're talking about Canon. We're talking about all of Wayne's features are gone now. Okay? Wayne has a monster like feature track list. And then you're talking about like Drake who has significantly like who's a trendsetter. Like
yes, he is.
You have Nicki who's just like female boss. But then on the other hand, you have Rihanna who's female boss. You have Kanye producing skills, artistry. Like I don't know how we could pick. Like
I'm gonna pick. and just going back and I'm not gonna penalize like what Drake has done in rap, and I think even making it, I think LL Cool J paved the way for him to make softer, more emotional
That's interesting.
songs.
That's true.
And being able to make that, like, I think he did it better than LL because he's been more commercially successful.
Mhm.
But I think that's something that he tapped into, and I remember people clowned him for that because it's like, oh, Drake and his feelings.
remember that.
That's
a
he's
fact.
making a lot of money off of that. So and
That's a
he
fact.
and he can still change up what he does too and be a little bit harder. But the amount of hits that he's had is crazy. When you look at Drake and Nicki are newer, so and they've still done great things in their time. But when you look at Kanye, if you go back and really look at his discography and historically how he changed, well, not I don't know about changed the rap game, but he definitely came out with classic songs. And
he changed the rap game in production.
When I tell you, like, he sold almost 1 million copies of his albums in a week.
Damn.
That's crazy. Like, just go back and look at from College Dropout. Was it Late Graduation?
Graduation, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Yeah,
That was a great album.
he just kept getting better and better.
And he does
better.
gospel music now. Like, what?
And he does amazing gospel music. The clips
Great
on
gospel
Twitter,
music.
sampling great R&B songs and turn them into gospel songs with these amazing voices and choir, and it's incredible. He's a creative genius, regardless of his political affiliations and all that other stuff. And then to come into Rihanna, I mean, I remember growing up. I was growing up with Rihanna, SOS, and
I was just thinking about that earlier.
Panda Replay,
yes.
Panda Replay, and We Ride.
Disturbia.
I was singing that all the time. So, and
let me tell you,
and she's continued to elevate her game to become. I don't know if the Chris Brown incident had anything to do with how she
transformed herself. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think she's definitely changed because she came into the game when she was 17. Now she's a grown woman.
Mm-hmm.
Still continued to evolve and become an incredible artist and still continue to put out great works of music. So that's all I'm going to say. That's why I choose that. But Drake and Nicki, nothing against them. They're great artists in their own right.
I'm going to go with you as well, Kai. I think off of your explanation, I think there's no way I can let go of Jay-Z and Kanye, like, at all. Like, I love Rihanna too, but like, yeah, I can't let them go. I can't. Okay.
I genuinely do not know. I think this is gonna sound really bad, but I think I'm gonna go with Lil Wayne and Drake, just kind of off the basis is that, like, I still listen to their music to this day. I mean, I listen to like Kanye and Jay-Z, but like I obviously and I listen to Rihanna, but like off of who I'm listening to on a daily basis, it's definitely Drake. So I feel like that's really the best reasoning I can give for this. They're all amazing artists though.
Yeah, this one is hard for me too. And I'm going to give as little explanation as possible because it's very hard for me to choose. So honestly, I think I'm just going to have to go with Jay-Z, Rihanna, and Kanye.
I'm also going to have to join the bandwagon on that one. Y'all brought up great points that I completely agree with. So I guess we back to 4-1 on this one.
4-1. It's all right, Oyin. We still love Drake. We still love Drake and Nicki, I promise. We still love y'all.
Love Jay-Z and Nicki.
It was hard.
Okay, so our next category is song versus song. So we all love Beyonce.
My twin.
Beyonce.
So the songs I chose were Dance for You versus Rocket.
Ooh, child.
Ooh.
Tonight I wanna...
No. It's not that. No.
Let me fix this.
Yo, do you remember? I'm sorry, quick story. I remember it was the end of summer session. I don't think Kai was there yet. I think it was just me, Alyssa, and our other teammate. And we were in our apartment or whatever. Last day of summer session, hype, no more running, conditioning for a few weeks, whatever. And I just remember blasting Dance for You and us just like dancing. I
Yep.
still have the video, like us dancing, body rolling with
Yep.
fake men's
Yo,
on
yo.
chairs, like it's Destiny's Child at the BET Awards. Like,
Comment under this if you want to see the video of Kennedy body rolling.
no, that is not for public
We
use.
will release 10 comments and we will release the video.
10, that's low. 10 comments is low. You dragged it. At least push it to 15.
That's what I'm. Damn, put some respect on my name.
Oh,
Jesus.
15 comments.
Oh my gosh, but to that point, I'm gonna have to go with Dance for You. You know, I just the whole bop. I can envision myself.
Doing what?
Just-
Yeah.
Stop it. All
My
right, you know
mama's
what?
listening
Dance
to
for
this.
You're right.
You. My mom is too, so I'm gonna cut it there and say Dance for You.
Bro. Nah, I'm gonna have to second that though. Rocket is a hit. Like, okay, everything Beyonce is a hit, really. She doesn't miss. But I don't know, Dance for You just does something to me. You feel like, Rocket, these are both songs that you could do a little, you got a man, you want to give him a little, it's a birthday, you try to make a little dances. I don't know. But nah, Dance for You just does something in your head, you just see it like
Yo, the video. Remember the video?
No, the video.
The video of her
the
when
video.
she walks into the office and she's like with the
yes,
peacoat.
yes.
And you're like, ooh, this is sensual.
Right, exactly.
And then
Fire.
and Dance for You, I think with the two songs too, to your point, I just go back to Dance for You more.
Mhm,
Like
right, exactly.
I love Rocket and I love Rocket. Rocket, you hear
Also, right.
the beat, the drops.
Right,
in Rocket?
exactly.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But Dance for You is my pick.
Yeah, Beyonce had both of them were crazy vocal performances, and y'all know me and the Queen. And first I want to let everybody know that I am saved, and I am filled with the Holy Ghost.
God.
When it comes to these songs, I just get caught up in the spirit when I listen. I really do. I really do. It's something else happens to me. So that's why I'm gonna go with Dance for You. And if you've ever heard Dance for You, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I am going to have to go with Rocket, actually.
Wow. Talk to us more.
Wow.
Talk to us more.
Please explain.
I just feel like the vibe that you get from Rocket is more of like a submissive, and like a Dance for You is like a
You're
dominant.
You're
Yes.
correct.
That is very
Yes.
correct.
You are correct.
So
Great point, sis.
So for me, like,
you want to be
You wanna be
yes.
taken care of.
Yes.
You want to be taken care of.
Exactly.
Please,
You want it.
please versus not please.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Heard you.
Yes.
Heard you.
Yes.
I like that. And,
For all the moms listening, we are all saved.
Saved
We
and
are all-
sanctified.
Listen,
Filled with the Holy Ghost.
listen. It's a part of life though. But we're saved.
That's facts.
All right, next song versus song. Our guy Usher. I love me some Usher. So we got Confessions Part 2 versus Let It Burn.
I mean,
This is easy for me. Sorry.
me too.
Yeah, I think
also,
it's easy.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's
It's not-
easy.
it's
These
not
are my
easy.
confessions.
Oh, that's actually okay.
That sounded good. But let it burn. Come on. Stop it.
Yo, and of the two of us, you're the one that can actually sing. So
I'm weak.
I'm sorry.
nah, I gotta go with Confessions. Like,
I perform these songs. When these songs come on in the car, I perform these songs.
I believe you.
Karaoke queen.
From the beat that comes on when Confessions Part 2 comes on. The and I'm over here pop blocking with my chest. Pop blocking. But I will perform Let It Burn. I'm not lying to you. I think I'll have to go with Confessions though, just because I feel like when he sang that song, even though it wasn't about him, I think I felt like I don't even know what to call it. That's like, I couldn't imagine being in that situation, but I think he sang that with the emotion that you needed to sing that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like the
Mm-hmm.
pain of knowing that he screwed up and he's gotta. That's a story right there.
Yeah,
Jermaine
right.
Dupri.
Come on, that's a story.
That's a
Yeah,
story.
he
Let
did.
It Burn is a great song.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just about, you leaving somebody, it's not going to work out, and you got to just let it burn. You got to let it hurt.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Confessions.
Yeah, I
I'm
second
cool
that.
on
So
that.
we're 5 for 5 on that one. Okay,
Hey.
okay, crew.
That ain't no
Look at
problem.
us agreeing and
Okay,
whatnot.
agreement. Because we know what's next. Talk to him.
All right, so we got the much awaited album versus album category. Now, this has caused a lot of controversy, just not in this group, not amongst us bosses, but outside of this group, all over the world, all over the country. So we taking it back. 2014 Forest Hill Drive versus Good Kid, Mad City.
I'm not even gonna speak on this.
Kennedi, go ahead.
Wait, let me just
Wow,
let me
how
just
nice
say
of you.
let me just say a disclaimer real quick. I think that Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole are they are the top lyricists in the rap game right now, I feel like. I just want to give both of their credit where it's due. They are both great artists. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna have to say 2014 Forest Hills Drive. J. Cole is my guy. I love this man. When I went to his concert, and I
remember
when Alyssa was with me, that 2014 Forest Hills Drive concert.
I was right there with you, girl. We was
right
every
there
song.
with me. For his songs, I have lyrics from his songs actually tattooed on my body. That's how much I love him. That
wow.
album.
Oh, that's cute.
Yes,
that's cute.
But let me just say,
a temple.
let me just say, I think with this album, it really, showcased his storytelling skills. And I know that Kendrick does have that aspect as well. But you look at, Wet Dreams, for example, like this album was just something that literally everyone can relate to. Like Wet Dreams, he talks about, having sex for the first time and what that's like, from the male perspective. And I know all males during their adolescence could relate to that. But through the showcase of his whole album, it talks about different parts of his life. You have the adolescence part, things that he went through. Then you have parts when he's talking about, becoming famous and that type of process and things like that. So I feel like, through the whole album, he's just telling the story of his life. And I feel like it's extremely relatable just through, the struggles of being with a single mother and life with that. Things that he went through in his adolescence, love and relationships. When you look at, Love Yours. And that song is probably my favorite song on the album because, he's talking about, there's no such thing as a life that's better than yours. Like owning what you have, your life, everything that goes on. Don't be looking at everybody else because I think in this world we can get so caught up in looking at other people and wanting what they have. But he says, no, own what you have. And another quote, from his song that I love, there's beauty in the struggle. And I feel like, for me, that's something that I can relate to. I've been through some stuff in my life and it kind of shows, how resilient you are as a person, that when you go through things, there's beauty that can come out of it, all the things that we go through. Not to mention that album went triple platinum with no features.
It was double platinum, but go ahead.
Oh, it was triple platinum. It was triple platinum with no features. That's in all caps. No features. So that means that when people are listening to that album, they don't listen to one song because it has Rihanna on it or Drake or whomever else. They're listening because they want to hear his voice and what he has to say because he's the only person on that album. The only person. Not to mention, he's won some awards, things of that nature. But for me, I also really, like Good Kid, Mad City. I think that's a great album. That's probably the only Kendrick album that I can listen to top to bottom.
Wow.
That is the only Kendrick album I can listen to top to bottom. But I'm going to have to go with 2014. And that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
so this is not an episode for convincing, I don't think. It's fine. Continue, go ahead.
Well, obviously, that was very passionate, and to our viewers, you're going to hear another very passionate response to that. So I'm going to keep it quick and classy. I'm automatically gonna go with J. Cole because I've been a big J. Cole fan for over a decade now at this point. And I'm 24. Over a decade now at this point. So this decision was very easy to me. Again, yes, like Kennedi said, Kendrick does make very good music. He is he's a good overall artist, lyrically, beats wise, musically in general. But I just have a deeper connection with J. Cole. I've just always liked him more as an artist. He's been one of my top artists for a long time.
All of the points that you guys made were very valid. I completely agree with them. I think J. Cole, when I went back and listened to 2014 Forest Hill, like top 4 songs, obviously Wet Dreams, No Role Models, Love Yours, apparently were my top 4. I think they were all amazing tracks. And I think, you know, to Kennedy's point and AJ's point, is very relatable topics, right? You're talking about, you know, Black women lacking representation in the media. That's something that we talk about all the time, and like the representation that they have in the media, or even in, you know, with like their in their community, how that can affect their mental, right? So he touches on like really relatable things on both the male and the female perspective. Completely agree, 1000%. You know, I'm gonna come with, you know, again, I'm coming with opinion backed up by fact, right? So
it's your opinion. Go ahead.
Yeah, of course. So both albums, of course, beautifully done. Millions of copies sold on both ends. So we're not even gonna say like popular, not popular, whatever. They're both very popular albums. So I personally am going with Good Kid, Mad City because the album in itself not only just like impacted the game like of hip hop, like this album is taught in universities across the country. This album is in classes and curriculums, okay? Impact. So this album not only just talks about a day in the life of Kendrick, like it talks about like a day in the life of Kendrick in Compton, right? So, you know, we get touches of like him with Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe and stuff. Like we get touches of him hooking up with the girl, like, oh, you know, he starts off the beginning of the album just really talking about the mentality, like how at 17 years old, nothing, this is gonna be a little explicit, but nothing more than the P on his mind, right? So he's going through this story about like, okay, he just graduating high school, he's linking up with his homies, like you get the cinematic, like you literally are listening to the album and feeling like you're watching a movie. There's skits in between that are telling you like every single piece of like the messaging and like, oh, how this, okay, whew, it's just, okay.
Go ahead, girl, take your time.
So just like off the top, like the most notable songs, right? We have Backstreet, Freestyle, Poetic Justice, Swimming Pools, like that's all on the album, like we know those. But my top songs on the album that like I feel like made it impossible for J. Cole to touch at all, which is crazy that I'm saying, as much as I love J. Cole, as much as I love, like I said, as much as I love J. Cole, if we're talking about this album versus album, we're not talking about song versus song, we're not talking about artist versus artist, we're talking about literally the body of work that you are listening to. The entire body of work, right? So
of this album, yes.
Of this album, right. So my top 3 songs on that album is Art of Peer Pressure, Sing About Me, and Real, which all talk about, you know, just different topics about the young Black man or whatever. And I don't want to take 7 years to explain this, but in my eyes and in a lot of people's eyes, but you know, in my eyes, most importantly, I think that this album by Kendrick is just such a classic that I don't know if it can ever be recreated.
I think for me, the reason why I would choose 2014 over Good Kid, Mad City is solely just the fact that, yes, Kendrick told a great story of his life living in Compton, all of that. And I, from top to bottom, the way he transitions into the songs, I think it's great. That's why I really love that album. But you can't, not everyone around the United States, around the world can relate to living in Compton, you know, being Kendrick Lamar. And it's cool hearing his story, but I feel like 2014, everyone can relate to some aspect of that song. Like I said, with Wet Dreams, with Love Yours, apparently January 28th, '03 adolescence, like all of that, they go some different parts of your life, especially the adolescent part where it's relatable to everyone, and you're not just hearing his story, but you can see yourself in those songs as well.
You can definitely see yourself in Kendrick's album. You can definitely, it's not like a like, you know, of course it is his story about his life. You can definitely relate to Kendrick's story as well. Kendrick talks about just like, of course, he's attacking a different crowd, right? He's very particular about the crowd that he is speaking for, right? Speaking about. But the lessons in it, like even in Real, he's talking about, you know, what makes a person real, you know, and his mind and his hood and his story, it's like, you know, they're talking about like a real nigga is a nigga that like does, you know, he's violence and shooting and like, you know, he has respect and stuff like that. And through the skits and like through family and faith, he was able to just like kind of like change his mentality around stuff like that. Like, so there's a voicemail, especially in Real, at the end where his mom says, if I don't hear from you by tomorrow, hope you come back and learn from your mistakes. Come back a man. Tell your story to Black and brown kids in Compton. And when you make it big, give back with your words. That's the best way you can give to your community. This is something that can be relatable in any aspect, right? There's like, this is something like responsibility. He talks about responsibility. He talks about, you know, how even in Art of Peer Pressure, he talks about how you don't start to, you only do certain things or you act out certain ways when you're with your friends, right? I'm with the homies. Like, oh, I never thought about violence before. I never thought about, like, I thought about it and I knew it existed, but like when I'm with my homies, when I'm with my friends, like that's when I act up. That's when I do all this crazy stuff. That's relatable, you know? And I just think that overall as an album, Kendrick, just like the way he depicts the story, whether it's lyricism, whether it's flows and beat, he doesn't sacrifice any of that for the sake of the message. So that's where I'll cap it.
Those were two very lovely dissertations.
Oh, she sounds like she's over it.
Damn, she said a dissertation.
She said dissertations.
If you want to know more about, you know, our dissertations, as Oyin put it, I would say like hit us up and we can talk about it and stuff like that. Because these are definitely two very strong albums that we can dive into.
All right, y'all. So our last comparison for album versus album, we'll try to, you know, make this quick, but we have two really strong female artists with their albums. So we have Control versus Over It.
Whew. Summer Walker did her damn thing.
She showed it.
Over It.
She really did.
My sister SZA fucked up the game with Control. That album, like, the love I have for that album, like, no skips at all. Like, 20-something, Go Gina, Weekend. What?
Garden?
Garden.
Stop. Broken Clocks?
Like,
Stop.
Broken Clocks.
Broken Clocks, yo, done.
Doves in the Wind? Stop. Kendrick's on that.
Oh
Yo.
my God. My chest.
Jesus Lord.
That is my answer. Final, easy, done. Control. SZA, I love you. Boom.
It wasn't that easy for me. But go ahead, Kai.
I'm also going Control, just because I think SZA's message in that was, you know, she wrote that. When the album came out, I think she's like 5-6 years older than I am. But now I think, because I think I was 20 when the album came out, 19. So you're getting to these points where maybe able to relate to what she's saying as a woman. She was very vulnerable, I think, in talking about the issues that she had with her self-esteem, which everybody can relate to at some point, especially girls. And I think even for Black girls, I think it was a huge album for people for of our age. So I can appreciate that a lot. And not only that, but the songs were they were great. Her vocally, she sounded different on every song to me, but it's so timeless because of that. I love Over It. She did her thing, like Oyin said. I just don't, to me, it didn't have the impact that album had. Great songs, but when you give the impact that I think Control had, especially given the time in my life that I was in, I got to give it to Control.
Yeah, I kind of think that, I think SZA kind of subtly paved the way for this kind of music where you can like, instead of Nicki being like, I don't remember the exact lyric, but it's like, remember when she was like, fuck his best friend and make him yes man or something like that?
Yes.
He fuck with you, your man fuck with you or whatever, you fuck his best friend, and that's how you get, that's get back. But she kind of says the same thing in, do y'all remember which song it was?
My man is your man is.
No, we talk about, she was in the hotel room.
Oh, Supermodel.
Supermodel.
Oh yeah, Supermodel.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of talks about something
Vegas.
similar in Supermodel, but it's like it kind of gives you the same feeling. Obviously, the way Nicki said is a little harder, like a little more gritty. But it's like, but like I feel like SZA kind of paved the way for making, as far back as I can think, SZA paved the way for making that kind of music. So honestly, I'm gonna have to go with. I guess I'm gonna have to go with Control. Honestly.
I'm with you. This was so hard for me because for the amount of times that I listened to Over It as an album was ridiculous. Like, I think I streamed that album probably like 500 times, like crazy. Just like what I think what it came down to for me, I picked Control as well. And I think what it came down to for me, with my note sheet right here, what it came down to for me was like, to Kai's point, the message and the time period that it came out. I think Over It also has a really clear message. It's like, it's very relatable too. Like, when you think about playing games or even Come Through, Fun Girl, like there is a lot of underlying messages that are very good, and talk about women and talk about us in like differently than Control does. But I think Control as a body of work, just the importance that it had, the impact, to Kai's point, like that it had on especially Black women and like black young women like us, was like unmatched. And it's timeless to me. Like, I can go back in 20 years and listen to that and still feel that feeling that I felt when I first listened to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, again, like everyone said, this was a very hard decision, and even though with Over It, I listened to it several times, but I'm going to have to go with Control. And, to Kai's point, I feel like I was able to relate a lot to that album. My favorite songs, Normal Girl, Supermodel, all of that. When I listened to that album, even though it's only 45 minutes, that 45 minutes, I'm completely locked in, especially I'm driving outside on a nice sunny day, windows down a little bit, just really taking in everything that she has to say. So I'm gonna have to go with Control.
Yeah, no skips on Control for me. No skips.
Yeah.
No skips on either, to be honest. I can't
No,
lie.
I think I always skip some things on Over It.
I don't
like to listen to Stretch You Out. I don't like that song.
Oh yeah. All right, y'all. So I know that versus battle definitely got heated. But, we wanted to also touch on Caribbean music as well as Afro beats because, we can't forget about our international baddies over here. So, we want to talk about the impact that type of music specifically has on us.
Well, I can kind of talk about the impact that Caribbean music has had on me. It's kind of, I think, honestly, it's kind of a way to just keep me connected to like my roots in a way because without the music, aside from like obviously I grew up in a Jamaican household. Both my parents are Jamaican. We eat Jamaican food. We cook Jamaican food. I grew up Jamaican American, I should say. So I feel like it just kind of helps me stay connected to my roots. And like, even I know for you, even Kennedy, has kind of helped you, even though you're not like, I don't know what percent of Jamaican you
I'm
are.
a percentage. That's all you need. I'm a percentage.
I don't know
It's
what
over
it is.
10%. So
Over 10%.
Okay, so it's helped you connect to your 10% of Jamaican.
no. I said
heritage.
it's over 10%.
Oh,
it is
okay.
over.
It's helped you connect to your over 10% Jamaican.
Whichever way you say the 10% is still 10%, sis. It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to cuff you just now. It's just. All right, go ahead, though. Go ahead.
You know, before I came to college and, you know, met my international friends, I definitely did not listen to Caribbean music at all. I just remember going to parties, and I remember we went to this one party, me and Alyssa, and I forget who else was there. I think Sunja might have been there too. I can't remember. No, I think you were, but you know, don't quote me on it. Anyways, I just remember being there, and I definitely was a wallflower. I was just standing there, like looking around, seeing everybody dance, and I was like, what is, you know, this is new. I don't know how to do any of these things. But you know, when I started to go to more parties and branch out, and I still started really getting into it, and I loved it. Like I'm like, I felt like I saw color for the first time. I was like, oh my gosh, what is it? When I tell you, I went home and I was like, do y'all know about this? Do y'all know about this music? And they're like, yes. And I was just like, oh, clearly I'm late to the party. But I just remember, you know, throughout that year, my freshman year, like getting to the end of the year. And I remember it was the last party of the year. I felt like I was in my element. Like there was such a transformation. There was such a transformation for me from the beginning of the year towards the end, when I started to, you know, be around that music and, you know, people that are represented, you know, through that type of music and things like that. So that's my story on Caribbean music. I love it, you know, to this day. Definitely rock out.
Yeah, no, I totally, that's mad funny, Kennedy, that you said that, because honestly, like, I can't imagine my life without Caribbean music, just like the impact. But I was born in Haiti, and obviously in Haiti, the majority of music is, you know, Haitian music. So I grew up I grew up to listening to a lot of Haitian music, and like Caribbean music, like even like music from the Martinique and stuff like that. When I moved here, I guess, like, obviously Caribbean culture is like really my culture. So I like kept adapting, kept embracing, but I think I got more into like more dance hall, because I've been around people like Alyssa and who are just like, you know, dance hall queens, like more Jamaican music and stuff like that. Obviously, so to Kennedy's point, like there was a lot of classics. Obviously, everybody knows about the Bob Marleys of the world. I mean, there's only one of them. But Caribbean music has definitely been a huge part of my life and how, like, a part of my identity. And I am kind of sad to say, though, that I have I'm listening less to Haitian music. And I think that's like something that I need to revisit, just because like it does connect me. So, yeah.
I feel like for me, I am a first generation Nigerian. So kind of, I don't know if y'all have realized, but Afrobeats has definitely become a lot more mainstream in the past like few years, especially.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like, it was kind of, I don't want to say a shock, but I was definitely like taken aback, because it's like, for me growing up on Saturdays, it was cleaning day. You have Yinka Ayefele blasting in the house, playing, so we could all be cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kind of like me throughout high school, listening to the OGs, P Square, Two Face. Then Wizkid came on the scene, Davido, and then now you have your Mr. Easy's, Burna, like, and so just seeing how like Afrobeats has definitely evolved and just become more like mainstream. Now everybody and their mom is listening to it. Granted, I still don't know how I feel about it, because it's just like, it right now feels like everyone's kind of hopping on this bandwagon. but like whatever. That's a story for a different day.
Yeah, I can
But-
even agree. I can even agree with that hopping on the bandwagon thing for Afrobeats and even Caribbean music.
So definitely it's been awesome just having more people exposed to something that I grew up with. So maybe like making it easier for me to, I don't know, explain my culture, show people like why I am the way I am, the vibes. Everyone loves Afrobeat vibes, like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, it's been interesting to say the least.
You know, I think the greatest thing about music is that, you know, there's a lot of representation in that. And like, you know, like Oyin mentioned with Afro beats and Alyssa and Sunja, you know, with Caribbean music. And I think for me, I find a lot of representation in music as well. I want to kind of go off, you know, with Megan Thee Stallion as, you know, a great example for me as of right now. I know she's new, but let me just tell you the fact that she kind of embraces her height. And people are accepting that in society today, because before, and I know my tall Amazonian sister Alyssa can agree with me in that before, people looked at us as giants, you know, our height, we only should be in the post and that's it. But you know, with Meg Thee Stallion's music, when I tell you, when I go out now, you know, people address me as Stallion, they love my height, long legs, all of that. So I appreciate her. And, you know, the fact that this artist can kind of embrace who she is and, you know, put that out in society. And then you can kind of see how in society, you know, people also start embracing that and accepting that aspect of people as well. So I think that is something that's really big for me.
We love to see it
with her.
Yes.
We love to see it.
Kennedi, give us your best
Oh, I'm not good with that. I just know normally I just like when people are like, ooh, drop it like Meg, and I'll be like, ooh.
Yo, then the knees.
It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to get
hard.
back up though. It's kind of hard to get back up though, because my knees are, you know, they were left in college on the basketball court. So, you know, that part is, you know, hard, but.
That's an MCL tear.
Yo, you're terrible.
So I feel like for representation, kind of the point I was kind of just reiterating the point I made before, how Afrobeats have definitely become more mainstream, how people have, I don't know, I feel like people have become more in tune with their ancestry because of Afrobeats, like kind of like becoming more mainstream. So that's definitely been very interesting, having people actually really want to learn more about where their ancestors came from and all that. Also, another point, we don't hear, well, at least I haven't heard as much people in like elementary school, middle school, even high school sometimes not being called like African booty scratcher. Oh, you live in huts, blah, 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 blah. And it's like to me, like when I would be called those names, it's just like, if y'all think it was really new, the type of houses we had in Africa,
right.
Like y'all,
yo, mansions.
What is this?
Yo,
exactly, mansions. Calm everywhere.
We had
Like,
the maids and the gardeners coming.
Thank you.
Y'all don't know rich life.
This is poverty over here in reality, if you're really thinking about it, but whatever. Yeah.
So I feel like another big conversation that you hear a lot in music is, you know, beats versus lyrics. And I know for me, lyrics are really important for me. You know, I think 80% of the music I listen to, I'm listening to it because of, you know, the lyrics and what is being said. So I'm very conscious of that and take that in. So what are y'all's thoughts on, you know, the negative and positive impact that lyrics and, you know, what an artist is saying can have on, you know, society, or how that, you know, affects yourself and how you know, take that all in?
Well, I think in terms of lyrics and, you know, music is art at the end of the day. So you can tell a story, and sometimes stories can be representative of an entire race. It can be representative of a gender, sexuality, socioeconomic background. And it could also be sending a message to people as well. So I think it can unite, you know, people in ways that maybe other things can't. And to an extent, like if you listen to a song, you might hear your parents say, "What you know about that?"
Mm-hmm.
Or you look at somebody differently based on what they listen to. Because sometimes it can have a deeper meaning. And if you're able to understand that, especially amongst intellectuals, there are a lot of intellectual musicians out there, I think that can really create a conversation and unite people and maybe help people to understand and learn. I learned a lot from music when I was younger too, just based on what my parents played in the house. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things that music has the power to do.
Yeah. On the other hand, though, like, I think obviously, music has a very positive impact. We wouldn't be listening to music damn near every day if we didn't think that it had a positive impact on just us and people in general. But on the negative side, a lot of the music that is put out today, and even some of the music that was put out back in the day, kind of talks about a lot of like violence, drugs, and like sex, all that stuff. And I think it's kind of desensitized us, obviously, in a way that we're now hearing this and it's so normalized that we don't see a problem with what we're hearing. One. Two, if we look at it from a male and female perspective, I think it can have an impact. What you see in the videos and what you hear in the music can kind of have an impact on you as a female. One, it normalizes things in you that maybe, depending on whose opinion I guess it is, shouldn't be normalized in you. And for males, it kind of romanticizes that rapper lifestyle, that high profile, spend a lot of money, buy a lot of cars. Whether or not that's what they're actually doing, that's what it looks like they're doing in the media. And that can kind of affect just the male view of what they think their life should be and what they think that gaining that kind of financial stability, I guess, or it's not even stability, it's past financial stability, but gaining that status will give to them.
So playing off kind of, the lyrics aspect, for me, I personally think that the type of music a person listens to can kind of, I wouldn't say, reflect who they are, but kind of like, I don't know. I feel like, when I get into it, like, I feel like I feel strongly about this, especially when you talk about, Future and like the City Girls and like how what they talk about can kind of, what the listener embodies when they're listening to the type of music. But I kind of want to hear what y'all have to say first about that before I get into it, because I know what I have to say is kind of very controversial.
I guess for me, like, again, to Kai's point, like, it's like music is an art, right? And it's supposed, like, music is an art. And so I view music as like reality versus fantasy, right? So I think that music and art can be relatable and have all of those aspects, but it is also a way, like, it is an art, right? So it's a creative way to portray those things. And I think a lot of times we take the music too literal, and that's why it creates the impact that it does create. Thinking of, does a type of music define who you are? I don't think so, personally, because I feel like I can listen to Kennedi's point, I can listen to Meg Thee Stallion or City Girls or, Future and feel like, I'm getting ratchet. That's the person I want to take in that moment. Like, I'm this party girl. Like, I want to feel like a boss. I want to feel like I don't give a crap about anything. Like, that's just what I want to feel in that moment. That's my mood in that moment. Versus if I'm listening to Janae or, Kalani, for example, like, they're more in tune with their emotions. Like, that just may be me. That's just my mood in that moment, right? Like, I want to listen to music that makes me think. I want to listen to music that makes me like in tune with my emotions, but it doesn't define me as a person. Like, you can't say that like, oh, she's the type of girl that listens to Meg Thee Stallion. Okay, and I listen to Meg Thee Stallion doesn't mean I do what Meg Thee Stallion says, because again, it's reality versus fantasy. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I don't know any one person that kind of embodies the person that they listen to the most. For example, wholly, I think every artist has a time and a place in your life, in your day, whatever. If you want to get, like Sunja said, if you want to get ratchet and listen to Megan in the morning, that's how you feel. And the next morning you might feel like listening to Brent Fayez. The next morning you might listen to some reggae or some Afro beats. Like, it just depends. It more so to me depends on what kind of mood you're in, rather than that person's music defining who you are.
Yeah, I think it's kind of reckless to attribute one genre of music to how somebody is as an entire person. And I think, you know, I have friends that listen to wide varieties of music, and that just means they're open and they just like different genres. The same way you can like different types of food. I mean, we don't have to be limited to one thing to represent us as a whole. So I think it can definitely give insight to what you like, to maybe what you value, but I would never, you know, totally discredit somebody based on that.
But do you think if a nigga's listening to Future and doing Future shit, right, is that making you, does your opinion change that like that person then is no longer taking the person? You know what I'm saying?
Can I say this? Future ain't even doing Future stuff.
I wouldn't say that.
No, this is what I'm saying though. Because I believe it came out that in one of his songs he talked about lean or some other sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
He said he didn't even do that. He's just, how many rappers do you look at those Genius videos say, what the hell, the weird looking kid that has a lot of popular songs out. He's got glasses.
Oh, Lil Tecca. Yes, Lil Tecca. I saw that.
He's talking about driving a Bentley, Ferrari.
Yep.
He's like, I don't even drive.
Yo, that video was so funny.
So
that video was so funny.
He was like, I have a girlfriend. I respect my girlfriend.
Right, exactly. and I like Lil Tecca too. But some of these rappers, 21 Savage said he was from Atlanta. Is he even from Atlanta?
Ain't he from England?
He's from England. That's crazy.
Right, he's from England. So they all take on different personas that they may not even be living out.
Yeah.
So there are some Future songs. If I went to a Future concert, I was in there saying some stuff maybe about women that weren't great. If somebody looked at me and said she doesn't respect herself or she doesn't respect other women, they'd be completely wrong.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'd have to check them right there.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's the thing, like, but we do still have those associations, right? I know Kennedi, you're coming next. We do still have those associations about like, yeah, just because I said it, like, doesn't mean I meant it, right? So like, if I'm reciting a lyric, like, fuck this hoe, suck this shit, right? I'm saying all this shit, like, you can't, like, how do you differentiate, right? Like, now I gotta like really like sit down with you and talk about like, do you actually believe this? We don't do that though, for real, all the time. Like, niggas.
Because why would you do that? I mean, unless you're my friend, like sometimes if we're having a conversation and you're referring to me as derogatory words for women and you're being disrespectful, I'm not gonna sit there and think, oh my God, he got this from Nevadius. I'm sorry, I don't know why I use Future's government name.
Wait. That's just that by heart. Like,
that's just, huh?
I was like
the fact that you like know that by heart, like,
I don't know why that just came into my head, but I was thinking like, I just saw the name pop up in my head and I said it. I didn't mean to say that. That doesn't mean that I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, he's a grown man and Future told him to act like this. I know Future got a lot of baby mamas, so that's why maybe his music gets more, he's maybe it's validated more. But if I'm interested in you and you're like, oh, I love Future, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna give you a chance and still get to know you. I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, absolutely not. If you are doing those things, then yeah, I don't know about all that.
It's glitz, yeah.
But that's because that's disrespectful, not because
it's totally disrespectful.
Let me just say this, you know, like Kai said, you know, if you tell her that, you know, Future is your favorite artist, I'm gonna give you chances, that whatever. When I first start talking to somebody, I ask them what their 3 favorite artists are, and I ask them what their 3 favorite songs are, because, you know, like I said, music is very important to me. Okay. So if you tell me Future is, just as an example, I like some of his music. I don't really listen to all of it, and most of the time, I don't even really be trying to hear what he has to say. I just like the beat for real. But anyway, so if you tell me Future is your favorite artist or in your top 3, that is a red flag for me, because, you know, that's cool if, you know, you listen to him one day, you listen to Brent another day, you listen to whomever, da da da. But if you're constantly listening to this artist all the time, then you're, you know, really, in my opinion, absorbing what he is saying, and you start to adapt some of these ideologies and beliefs or whatever he has to say, whether he has done it or not, he's talking about it. And most people, you know, they may not even know if he did or didn't do it unless you did your research. So one can say and accurately assume that Future is a toxic individual, that you know, you see on the media with him and his baby moms, all these issues. He got 500 baby moms. He's saying all this crazy stuff, da da da, whatever. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. It's in the socials. Now, on the other hand, I don't even want to just come off with the guys, but also with the girls too. You know, we talk a lot about the city girls. Me personally, I don't like the city girls. I don't really care for their music. Period. Poo. I'm so over that. I'm so over that saying. I'm tired of it. Like so, and they always talk about scamming dudes, this, that, and the third, whatever. And I know guys are tired of that too. And I feel like the same thing. Girls, you're constantly listening to that, hearing this, you start to adapt these things. You see what they post, or at least on my Instagram, I see what they be posting about. If he ain't making me do this 800 times and it's a dub, da 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 da, whatever. Just like, just crazy stuff. And I just feel like if you're what?
You said 800 times.
Yeah, for real.
All right, y'all know I'm dragging it, but I'm just saying,
ahead.
I feel like if you're constantly listening to an artist that has toxic belief systems, ideologies, whatever, I feel like you start to subconsciously embrace what it's saying, and I feel like that, you know, can kind of show in your character at times.
I disagree with this dissertation.
I also disagree with that. You said this dissertation?
That is fine. I told you what I had to say was extremely controversial, and you know what? Disagree all y'all would like.
It's not the fact that it's controversial. Like, I definitely think that there's people out there that really believe that. So you're gonna just throw away just like music, like straight up music. You're gonna throw away straight up artists because of the content that they speak about. Even J. Cole has said some some shit that's not that's some
right, but that happens at times. He's not always constantly talking about that.
Okay, but those artists are big because of, like, Future, for example, he could not go a political route. I'm not listening to that nigga.
That's fine. I wouldn't either.
But he's still relevant. Like, he's still like somebody that I'll go to listen to like get ratchet. If I'm going out, if you're going out to a party, you're going to listen to J. Cole.
That's fine. Yeah. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it is cool if you listen to it for a certain moment, because if I'm going out and I don't even, like, if I'm going out and I listen to Future or whatever, like I said, I'm not even listening, I'm listening to the beat of music. I'm saying if you are constantly listening to this artist, not if you listen to it when you're going out, then all of a sudden you a toxic human being. I'm saying that if you are constantly, every day, you bumping what he's saying, you really, you know, some dudes can understand the man. I sure can't. Some people can. So I'm just saying.
But nobody does that.
People do. I've talked to, I wouldn't say all men, but I know a lot that do.
That constantly just listen to one, like, you loving J. Cole, do you constantly listen to J. Cole every day? Or every other day?
I listen to that man a lot, yes.
Okay, so not every single, I just don't think that's fair for you to say that, like, if somebody is listening to this person constantly. I listened to when Meg's album, the first album came out, what was it called? Not Sugar.
Tina Snow?
No, not the first album, the first big one.
Fever.
When Fever came out, I listened to that shit every day for like a month. Like, it was the summertime. Every day probably for like the whole month, because it was a bop. Not because, like, you know, I embodied the savageness. Yeah. I did all that.
Were you trying to, though? Because it wasn't.
No, I didn't embody. I never did none of the suck that toe. The guy, like, nobody was doing that for real.
Did y'all like R. Kelly as an artist?
Yes.
Could you say that he had some songs where you would be like, I really like this song?
Step in the name of love.
Yeah. Absolutely. If I told you, I'm not admitting to anything. If I told you I still listen to Bump and Grind, and You Remind Me, and Feeling on Your Booty, and Step in the Name of Love, and Ignition, and I Believe I Can Fly, would you say I support men who sexually assault women?
Boom. That part.
I'm not
That part.
like
If I listen to Marvin Gaye, would you say that I support men who beat their wives?
That's like if you listen to Kanye, would you support people that, you know, say
I'm
that
a Trump
slavery
supporter.
isn't real?
but I'm not talking about that. I'm saying based off of what their lyrics and also how they are in like more so with Future in that example. But those artists, what are the examples of them of like R. Kelly talking about being liking little girls and all this
Age
stuff?
ain't
in
nothing
his...
but a number. He
Man,
wrote that
shut the fuck up.
She got you there.
And that's on period.
That's
Got
not
you
even.
there.
I understand your point, but I wasn't trying to. That's not what I was trying to talk about. I'm not talking about like.
I get what you're saying,
most of
Kennedy.
Thank you. But now you just threw me off because that's not what I'm trying to say.
I understand what you're saying. And most of R. Kelly, even though he didn't explicitly say that whatever he was doing to a woman that he was referring to in his songs was about somebody who was underage, even though a lot of those women in that documentary weren't all
Well,
underage.
yeah.
And he's not talking about like doing everything that he did, but everybody knew his image was based on him being a sex symbol.
Right.
That I just feel like it might be a little bit, it goes back to the whole role model thing, and whether you believe that people that are celebrities need to be sending positive images and positive messages, and they need to uphold those in their personal lives as well. They are people, and a lot of times they're morphing into other things to be commercially successful.
Right.
They're selling things that they think people want to hear right now, and for a while it has been sex, drugs, money, living this lifestyle that a lot of people view as glamorous. So that is flashy. That is, it's not going to necessarily be pure music and friendly for all types of people. So
Right.
I don't know if it's fair to say I don't know too many people that only listen to one artist, but if you're saying that there are people that only listen to Future or only listen to City Girls all the time,
that is like their most. Not saying that they only, no one they ever listen to else is nothing but that man, but I'm saying his music is what they stream the most, is what I'm saying.
Right. But
Not saying that they can't listen to anyone else, but they do listen to him or her or whomever frequently.
Yeah, but that's to like Kai's point, like, again, I don't think it's fair for us to say that because, again, like I said earlier, it's the reality versus fantasy thing. These people are selling you something. They have to say certain shit to sell you this music. They have to do, like, a lot of the men that we're talking about, like the little baby, the baby, they all have girlfriends and wives and baby and shit, like, but they're rapping about, I fucked this bitch last week, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, but it's true. Like, and we can and to talk about like the changing of artists and like how their personal lives can be separate from their like actual artistic life. Like that's like a human, we're malleable, we change over time. Like maybe Future's at a time right now, at a point in life where he's just really like in some toxic shit. Like he's really like, that's what he's going through, right? And if you're listening to that type of music, maybe that's what you're going through. Because when I listen to breakup shit, sometimes I'm going through a breakup, right? And when I listen to happy shit, sometimes I'm just in a happy ass mood. And I think like that's why we say that it's the mood that indicates that piece versus like it doesn't say who you are as a person when you're listening to that type of music. Like, yes, again, there are niggas out there. I know a lot of niggas out there. The only people on their rotating playlist is Gunna, The Baby, Lil Baby, and Future. That doesn't, for me, if I'm getting to know you and that's what you're on, that doesn't dictate exactly who you are as a person, right? I'm not gonna dub you because of the type of music that you listen to, but we can have a conversation about it. It's a conversation starter. We can have a conversation about it. Why is this like, oh, maybe I just like the beach. Oh, like the shit he's saying is mad fun. It could be a fantasy. Like maybe it's something like when the City Girls or whatever, or Meg talk about like, you know, fucking mad niggas, not fucking mad niggas, but like getting rich and like, you know, having to do nothing, just being cute and getting rich or whatever. Like sometimes I be thinking like, yo, you know what that would be a great ass life. Just like being cute as hell and just getting niggas to do shit for you. That'd be a great ass life. That's a fantasy, right? But that's not me in reality.
All right, you know what? That is completely fair. And to y'all points, y'all make good points. And I agree with you that music is emotion based a lot of times. And just want to clarify, I said it may raise a flag. Now, I'm not going to completely dub you, however, because, you know, there's dudes that I have talked to that favorite artist is Drake, who I also like, and they've become toxic. So it's like, not indication. I'm just saying that it's just like a little red flag in my head. I'm not going to dub you off rip. I'm just saying, you know, but like I said, my thoughts are very, you know, out there. But I understand what y'all are saying. However, I still, you know, I'm keeping those, you know, beliefs and whatnot.
Do what you do, sis. Do what you
but
do.
I just want to let the male viewers know that if you listen to Future, I'm not going to dub anyone off rip.
She's basically saying, if y'all niggas listen to Future, go the other way.
All right, y'all, before we end, I just want to say, please follow us on Instagram at We Are Boss Talk and subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, and the Apple Podcast app at Boss Talk. We also want to hear from you, so if you have any topic ideas for the future, please DM us on IG or email us at wearebostalk@gmail.com. Tune in next Tuesday for our next episode, and remember, it does not cost to be a boss.
Hey, gang.
Bye.